Morning, everyone. It appears that we
Morning.
have a quorum. Are there any preliminary matters before we begin? Okay, hearing none. As a reminder, please turn off your cell phones or silence them and remain muted unless you are testifying or giving some evidence. Again, good morning. You are attending the Animal Matters Commission hearings for May 2nd, 2022. The Animal Matters Commission was established and is conducted in accordance with Article 12 of the Anne Arundel County Code. These are administrative hearings, and by nature they are informal, which means you are not hampered by rules of evidence. However, please be aware that you are still testifying under oath. Each party will have their opportunity to state their case. After each party states their case, they will have an opportunity to ask questions of the other party. Please do not interrupt the other party. You will be given ample time to talk. In many cases, we are aware that there is a history. You may briefly tell the commission about the history. However, please focus on the issue at hand. After each case, the commission will have open deliberations. During these deliberations, the public may not participate. If the commissioners have an additional question, you may answer that question. No further information will be heard and a decision will be rendered. This decision is a recommendation to the chief of police or their representative. The recommendation of the commission will be taken into consideration and a final decision will be made by the chief of police or their designated representative. If, as a defendant in the case, you are unhappy with the decision of the commission, you may appeal. For citation cases, appeals are made through the District Court of Maryland. For administrative orders, which are potentially dangerous, and vicious orders, appeals are made through the County Board of Appeals. Please call the first case.
Thanks, sir. Our first case today, we have Tina Lexica versus Louis Cannon. We have animal disturbance prohibited and animal public nuisance for the dog Nola. All parties who have an interest in this case who wish to testify may now come forward to take the oath. Please utilize Zoom's raise hand feature. I'll get you added in one by one and then sworn in all together at the end. I see Mr. Cannon here. Bring him up. Ms. Lexica, bring her up. Ms. Contreras, I see that your hand is up, but your case will be called next. And then if you would, just start your video and unmute. I see Ms. Lexica there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, and I can hear you. If you would please state your name and full address for the record.
It's Tina Lexica, 263 North Drive, Severna Park, Maryland, 21146.
Thank you kindly. Hang out for just a moment. I'll get you sworn in at the end here. And Mr. Cannon, I don't see your video. If you could try and get that started.
The start video icon is grayed out.
Oh, let me see if I can send you a prompt here. Maybe that? Anything pop up there? There we go. And can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Thank you kindly. And will you both be testifying today?
Yes.
Perfection. If I could have you both state your full name and address for the record.
Michelle Cannon, 302 South Drive, Severna Park, Maryland.
Louis Cannon, 302 South Drive, Severna Park, Maryland.
Thank you kindly. And if everyone would please raise your right hand. Do you declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you all kindly. If you would please remain muted unless called upon to speak, and we are good to proceed.
All right, Ms. Lexica, I believe that you are the complainant in this matter. So you may state your case right now.
Okay, well, I've never done this before. And I know you said we're focusing just on the latest incident. So the latest issue was March 5th, and the dog barked for many hours. I mean, do you want me to read my complaint? Is that how this goes?
If you feel comfortable doing that, I mean, you can paraphrase, you can read it.
Okay,
Anything extra you need to add, it's very informal.
okay,
So you can just relax and state your case. It's
okay. All right. Well, I mean, there's been issues over time with the dogs barking excessively, and this I know is just NOLA we're focused on. I only know the name because I hear it, called from my yard. But this particular day, it was so many hours, and that's why I just had to document it. Before that, it had been quite a bit of time went by since I think I've done 3 formal complaints on this particular dog. And so it had been a long time since there was such a problem. So I'm not sure what happened. But I don't think the dog lives there, but when the dog is there, I always know. And I can tell you, like, over the past couple of days, that when the dog has started to bark, Miss Cannon is really good about going out there and quieting NOLA. So when she does that, the dog stops barking. But I think what's happening is they have a doggy door, and I guess when they're not home and that dog is there, the dog goes out and barks. So, I mean, I have some audio. If you want to hear it, I don't really, I'm not like, I don't want them to get a charge. Like, that's not the point to me. It's just, I would just like that if they have that dog over and they're not home, to somehow not let it just go out and in. I don't know how that works with a doggy door. I have a dog, I don't have a doggy door. But that's what I see. I also did a separate complaint this time, which I think is pretty significant, and that is the fence in between our house has several missing boards, and their dogs, but dog, I guess if we're only talking about the one, goes to the missing boards and puts their, I said head, but I mean like muzzle through the missing board and barks. And I'm afraid that one of our dogs is going to get injured by that. And I can't repair the fence from my side the way that the fence is. It needs to be repaired from their side. I'm willing to do it. I would just need to know that it's a safe time to go over, and I need to get the supplies to do it. I have one of the boards that fell down, and I think when I did this complaint, there was just one board missing. Now there's 2 boards. One board is completely on their side on the ground. I don't know if the dog's out. I don't want to reach my hand through and get it. And then there's a lot of other loose boards. It's an old fence. I moved in 2005. I have no idea. I think that house was built in 2003. So it's been standing that long. It just needs some repairs. So if we could get that fixed, that's my primary concern.
okay. And you said you have a recording.
Yeah, I have recordings, and I have photos of the fence if you want to see that too.
Okay.
have
Philip, do you have them, or is it just Miss Lexica that has that?
I didn't send them. Sorry.
Oh, okay. If you could, I don't know.
If you
Yeah.
pop in a audio browser, like a web player or whatever you personally use on your computer, if you're able to load that file up, then you come into Zoom. Once that's open, just have it paused and queued and ready. Come into Zoom, Down at the bottom of your screen, there should be a little green box for share screen, and then you can select that specific application. There will be, I know this is a lot, I'm sorry. There will be
Can I just play it?
Maybe, yeah. If you have it on your phone, if we can hear it through that.
Yeah, you definitely can.
Yeah, the pictures, however,
The pictures, yeah, the pictures. Can
They
I
may-
just share my screen?
Yes, if you have
Sure.
them on your computer, you can.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, I did. I put them all here. All right, hold on. I don't use Zoom a lot, so hang on. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I feel like this is 2020. What did you say I need to do? I'm sorry, to share. Oh, I see it. I see it. Well, I'll play a recording first. I don't know how to share that very easily. Here's an example from that day.
Came home from running errands to this joy.
I don't know how many you want me to share with you or how long you want it to run. But it's like that for hours. So I think that day I just did a sampling. I mean, I'm not going to spend all day out there, but I just did a sampling. Like one time I just left it outside and it ran for more than 15 minutes. And then I ran errands, came home. Like I said in this, sorry for the editorializing, but it was still going on. And then throughout the day. So it was from 7:30 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon, that sound. I want to share, I wish I could figure out how to share the screen to show you. I have like an overview. Unfortunately, like there isn't a lot of space in between their backyard and my yard. It's very, very close. It's almost like their backyard is my backyard is their backyard. So I can't figure out how to share the fence, but I'm sure.
In large files, could you email them to Philip real quick? And he
Yeah.
can-
Okay. Yeah. It says that they're going to be sent as Google Drive links because it's big. Okay. So I saw this morning that I wasn't able to share video because I didn't send it with enough advance. So instead I took a screenshot of the faces of the dogs through those slats so you could see that. Okay, I sent it.
Mash the refresh button for a moment. Oh, all right. So let me share my screen and see what I can get up here. Share screen and share system audio, and which one is it? Is it this one maybe?
Yeah, that right there, can you still hear me? That right there is just showing you some of the loose boards that haven't yet come undone. But if you just keep going through, there's another loose board. It's a different one. It's just to show like there's more coming soon. That's why I'd like to just go back there and like check every one of them. That one's also just loose. That one's loose on top. That's a missing one with a board that I was able to recover. I just kind of put it there, hoping that that would kind of stop them. And that's a different missing board there. So those are the two real missing boards. Oh, I didn't mean for this movie to go on there. I'm sorry.
Is there any reason why it can't? I mean, is it relevant? to the
No,
case?
I don't know. I was just reading the letter again this morning that said that they needed to be submitted, I think, 3 days in advance.
Miss Lexica, who owns the fence?
I don't know. That's the overview. See how my property is on the left and their property is on the right. So you can see the one missing fence about halfway on the fence board. Yeah, right there. I don't know who owns it. I don't know how you tell that because we both moved in after that fence was done.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else, Ms. Lexica?
No, like I said, I just would like to not have that, constant noise. I understand dogs bark, but it's just that excessive, that long periods of time where, and sometimes the dog will go in for like 5 minutes and it'll stop and then I'll be like, oh, good. And then it just stops again. But like I said, it isn't all the time, or I would be paying the $4 and go down and get the affidavits notarized like that. So, before the March 5th, it was August 20th. So that's several months. And I know, that might be weather also. And then before that, it was May. So there's a lot of time that goes by where everything is fine. But when it's not fine, it's just miserable. And I work from home most of the times. And if it's nice out, I'd like to have the windows and doors open, and it's impossible. And in the one time where it was overnight, it was just impossible to sleep because the dog is right outside my window. So that's as far as the barking goes. And then as far as the fence goes, like I said, I don't mind paying for any kind of repairs, regardless of who owns it. I just think that we need to get that done ASAP.
Have you spoken to the Cannons before about fixing the fence?
We had an incident a few years ago where I went over and asked them to quiet the dogs, and that did not go well. And Mr. Cannon said, don't go there again. And I don't know any other way to contact them. It's just kind of a not nice relationship. So I guess this is a formal request, to do that. We don't have to be friends, but we can just think about the safety, I think, of our animals and get it repaired.
Okay, are we
Are
ready?
there other neighbors? Are there other neighbors that have been complaining to the Cannons about the noise that you're aware of?
That I'm aware of? No, I'm not aware.
Okay, are we ready to hear from the defendant in this case?
I have one more question.
Mhm.
What is the earliest time that you hear them barking, and the latest time do you hear the dogs barking?
Well, on that I noted here, that time was 7:30 in the morning. So probably go to work time. I don't know, 7:30 in the morning. But the all night one was from 12:01 midnight until 5:45 in the morning. That was the May 2021 issue. So that one was overnight. And then the one August 20th, 2021, that was from 10 p.m. at night until 1 a.m. So it's varied.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's hear from Mr. and Mrs. Cannon, the defendants.
Hello, I'm Louis Cannon. I'm going to start from the end part of which she was talking about coming to my house. First of all, she does actually have not only email addresses, but cell phone numbers. When I purchased the property in 2013, we were told that the fence belonged to them. So that's why I don't mess with the fence. And as the fence was having slats come off, her husband, Jeff, would come over and fix the fence periodically to put the slats back up. The incident that she's talking about was at a time when my wife's mother passed away, and we had multiple visitors in the house. And as such, we put the dogs, actually I put them in the garage, but I left the door open so they could come out, and they wanted to come into the house through our back deck is French doors, and they could see through the French doors. So we knew the dogs were out there. We knew that they were barking, but with all the strangers and visitors coming through the house, we didn't have too much of an option until that had gone through. And I thought it was quite intimidating that she would, knowing that we had that going on at that time, to not only come to my front door, but bring her son to the front door with her. I felt it very intimidating and kind of threatening too. So I went to her house and said, "You are no longer allowed on my property." And if she were to ever show up on my property, I would call 911 and charge her with trespassing, because that was just an event in our lives that I couldn't get why somebody would do that. I know the dogs are out there. I know they were barking, but to come to my front door and we're in a situation where we're kind of stuck was just, I don't need you to be on my property at all. As far as the dog, this incident on March 5th, I can't say whether the dog was there. Like she even put out, the dog does not live here. We dog sit the dog sometimes. We've gone so far as, even when the dogs are in the house, yes, we have a doggy door, but we leave the plastic on the doggy door. We have one of those anti-bark things to keep the dog from barking. But I'm not going to tell the individual that owns the dog that, when they're in a bind, not to bring the dog here. If she wants to continue to pardon me. That's all I have.
And we have had a couple slats fall off the fence before within the past few years, and she has emailed us to ask us to replace the fence. We have a neighborhood directory with names, telephone numbers, and email addresses and physical addresses. So she has that. She does have a way to get in contact with us. She has gotten in contact with us before about the fence. So I don't know why she says that she couldn't get in touch with us this time. I've even seen her walking her dog. She has a greyhound. And I've seen her, I've waved. She's never said, "Hey, can we fix the fence?" And that was at a point we were on the corner of the street. So she could have stopped me to say something then. I don't want this to be a hostile situation. We've been living here for several years. We've had several incidences where she has called animal control on us. For once, we had a husky shepherd mix. One time the dog was outside, and she was concerned the dog was outside in the cold. But it's a husky and we have a doggy door, so he could have come in if he wanted to. Once it was because she felt the collar was too tight on the dog, but he has a double coat. And animal came over and they're like, "Oh, there's plenty of room. He's just fluffy." So I don't know why we're targeted.
And to the point of this fence, I don't spend a whole lot of time in my backyard because our backyard is really small, so it's mostly in the front yard. So I can't even tell sometimes that the pickets have fallen down. I mean, I have my grapevines out there, and tend to my vines, but I don't even notice that the fence because when I stand on the deck of the angle looking down, I can't really tell. And also on the other side of her yard is another 4-foot picket fence, the same make and model. It's just only 4 foot, and it doesn't even have the middle slats in it at all. And they also have a dog on that side of the fence too that barks.
Okay, is there anything else?
Not unless you have questions.
Okay, I before we go on, I have 2 questions. Was to the Cannons. Was Miss Lexica aware of the situation when occurring at your house when she knocked on the door?
We have 2 other neighbors that are joining properties. I can't say yes or no. All I know is that all my other neighbors in close proximity of us did know. And to your point, when I went to her house to tell her why, she asked me why I was so mad. I said I was so mad because you did this and my wife's mother passed away. But there was no, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know or anything like that. She just turned around and closed the door. So
Okay.
I can't tell whether she knew or didn't know. I just know everyone else around did know.
Okay. And my other question would be, it seems like both parties are willing to find some amicable way to fix the fence. Would that be correct?
Sure. I mean, it takes me 2 minutes with my drill. I mean, I'm fairly handy. I built most of houses, so when I know the slats are down, it's a decking screw and a cordless drill, and it takes 2 minutes to put it back up. But if I don't know it's down, I just don't know it's down. And also to the point of her coming to my house, regardless of whether there was a situation that had the dogs out there. Again, it's not like we didn't know it. Why are you coming to my front door to tell me that my dogs are barking in my backyard? Unless you're trying to tell me you need me to do something that I'm not doing that you want me to do. And why bring someone with you in that situation as well? I just didn't get it, regardless of the death in the family. Why are you at my front door doing this to me? If the dogs are barking, I know it. The dogs are barking, and I know it.
So I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll take other questions now. Okay.
I'm a little confused by your last comment, Mr. Cannon. You said if the dogs are barking, then you know they're barking when I come to your front door. So I guess, do you not want your neighbors to tell you when the dogs are disturbing them?
No, but there's other ways to do it other than coming to my front door with somebody else. To include, like I said, you have my cell phone number. Give me a call and say, hey, your dogs are disturbing.
Okay.
I have a question.
I'm not here to antagonize my neighbor. I mean, I'm retired military. I've lived in 7, 8 different states with multiple neighbors, and this is the first time I've actually ever had this kind of relationship. It's just odd.
I have a question for Mr. and Mrs. Cannon. Can you hear me? Miss Lexica stated that there was a couple of overnight situations where the dog was barking. Were the police ever called for those incidents?
I can't.
Not that we know of.
Okay. And
we've never had.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
One of the questions was, have we ever had complaints from other neighbors? We haven't. Even after we got this last complaint, I went to the other neighbors and asked, and they said they don't have any issues with our dogs.
Okay. Okay, that's the only questions I have. Thank you.
I have a question maybe for the Office of Law. It's my understanding that Miss Lexica did not get the citations notarized. If the citations aren't notarized, can the Animal Matters Commission even hear the complaint? I'm not quite sure what the procedure is. So can I get some clarification?
I think you
I'm sorry, Dr.
misheard
Hammer.
her. I don't think she was saying that those citations are
Yeah, the citations were
notarized.
today are notarized.
She made the comment.
Right.
She made the comment that she hasn't come every single time. You know, if she had been bothered more often, you know, she would have paid the $4 to have it notarized and done a citation each and every time.
My misunderstanding. Thank you for that clarification.
No worries.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So in Mrs. Lexicon, as testimony, she said that for a long time the dogs were doing pretty good, and then again they started up again. Do you know? And then she also was wondering if the dog was living there or not living there. Is the dog a permanent resident of your house? And were you doing something to prevent the dog from barking? Because obviously she says there was some kind of break. And so just curious, and this question is for the Cannons.
No, the dog is not a resident of even Anne Arundel County. We dog sit the dog every once in a while.
Okay, so that's why there might have been a break since the last time it barked so much.
I assume so. Yes. I mean the dog barks at me, so you know, even in my house, I just ignore it and it stops. So.
And I guess my last question would be, does the doggy door close, or is it just one of those flaps that we can't close it?
Oh, it has a plastic insert that we close.
Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions.
I have a question, and it's to either side. I don't really matter. Doesn't really care who answers it. This citation, this particular one, was filed sometime in March, right? And is that when the pictures? That's when the pictures are taken. The boards are missing. Are the boards still missing as we sit here today?
Yes, ma'am. I took new photos this morning just so that they were updated, and those missing, all of those were from today, except for the overhead picture that I gave you for, just so you would understand the situation of our yards. And that was taken, I think, a couple of days ago.
Do you agree with that, Mr. and Mrs. Cannon? Or the board?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything else at this time? Any further questions? Any statements from either party?
I would like to make a statement. My husband, Jeff, who he said, did fix the boards before, moved out in October 2018, August 2018. We've been divorced since a couple months after that. So he hasn't lived here. He did feel comfortable going over there. It's just me and my boys now at the house. And I don't know what happened with I do agree, I have emailed in the past, but for some reason, when I don't have their email address anymore, and I don't have that, our community directory, I don't have it anymore. And I even wrote the person who sent it out before, I wrote her around this time, and I asked if I could have an updated one, and I never got a response. So if they are okay with me texting or calling, or that's what I would prefer, because then hopefully it would be a more immediate stop to the noise, then that would be great. But I don't have that information anymore. And I don't know if it's because I got a new email address. And I also just want to say that I did not know anything was going on that day. And, this is a unique neighborhood. I'm also prior military and lived all over the world. And this community is very, I don't know, we just don't do a lot of stuff together. It's just like everybody kind of lives their own lives within the borders of their yard. And I do have that relationship with the other next door neighbor. Like he said, that dog does bark. And I do have a relationship with her if that happens at night, which had happened in the past, she said, just text me and I'll call my dog in. So I don't know. If you can hear the sound in my house right now, it's quiet. I don't play music. I don't have the television on. So maybe I do hear more because my house is more quiet. But you know, it is the fact that there is that noise going on. So that's all I just wanted to say. You know, I didn't have another way. That day it was bothering me. So I thought I should go and knock on the door. Yeah, I had my son with me, but I didn't think that was anything. I just was telling them, you know, that the dogs were barking nonstop. And you know, I don't know if they know when their dogs are barking a lot, because they have, you know, they could have television on, music. I don't know. So, you know, I did apologize that day. And I know that, you know, there was a lot of emotion going on. And I am sorry that happened and that upset you. And in that instance, I certainly never intended that. I only wanted the dogs to stop barking. And I haven't said anything, Cannon, because I just don't know what our relationship is. I feel uncomfortable. I don't know what to do other than do a formal complaint. But if we could resolve it by, you know, letting me text, like I said, and if we could get the fence fixed ASAP, that would be awesome. I don't want there to be any kind of fee associated with this or anything. I just do appreciate the opportunity to resolve it.
Okay. I have one remaining question. And it's to both parties. For the future, are both parties here willing to share some type of communication for future?
Yes, we are. I mean, I would like to have some sort of neighborly relationship.
Okay,
Me too.
that's good to know. Okay.
Me too. Yeah.
Is there anything else from anyone? Okay, hearing none, I guess it's time for us to go into our deliberation. Let's start with Dr. Hammer.
I'm comfortable with everything that I've heard. I'm leaning towards, and it's probably beyond the scope of what we can do. I think if we can get that fence repaired, that'll go a long way of resolving any of these issues between the neighbors. As far as the complaints in particular, at this juncture, I'm leaning towards dismissal based on what I've heard.
Okay. Yes, we are, just for the record here, we are looking, I believe, at two $100 citations. Jennifer?
I first have a question. Does it matter, and this is maybe a question for the Office of Law, that this dog is, I mean, the actual dog that the complaint was filed for doesn't belong to these folks and isn't a resident of this county? Does that matter?
Good question.
Yeah, I don't want to butt in, but I had a situation myself personally, and if the property owner allows an animal on their property and it causes a disturbance, they are responsible.
Okay, I thought so, because I know for bite liability it's that way, but
Yes.
I wasn't sure. My inclination, I would be inclined to dismiss the animal public nuisance citation. I would like to see the animal disturbance one upheld and maybe the fine cut in half or something like that. And the only reason I say that is because I'm not sure if we dismiss both, that we're really going to get resolution in the future. A couple things that caught my attention from Mr. Cannon when he made the statement, why are you going to come onto my porch and tell, to my front door and tell me that my dogs are barking? I don't, I don't need you to tell me what I already know. And I just sort of went, wow, okay. So I don't know how else you address that. Obviously, if someone's coming to tell you that your dogs are barking, it's because it's bothering them. But the other thing that stands out to me is Mr. Cannon stated that he has no problem fixing the fence. And if he was aware the boards were down, he would have fixed it. Clearly, the boards from the pictures are on his side on that type of fence. And he said, if somebody had just let him know the boards were down, he would have fixed it. So I went back and asked, and that complaint was filed in March. I went and read it, and the complaints do reference the boards and the issue with the fence. And here we are, the 2nd of May, and it hasn't been fixed. But by his own testimony, it was, it's just a board and a cordless drill. It should be a breeze. So I'm kind of concerned that if we don't uphold at least one citation, we're not going to really get any resolution here. I don't want to cause any more trouble for these folks, but I do want to make sure that some action is taken. And since we can't specifically order the fence to be fixed, I feel like the only way to get it fixed is to uphold one of the citations.
Agreed.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Lieutenant McFarlane?
I think I'm for a full dismissal. I think what happened here is what happens in most of these cases. It's a miscommunication, a failure to communicate. And then until it comes before us, that's when parties get serious about working together. I think both of these parties have taken this instance, I believe it's the first time they're here before the commission, correct? Yeah, I think they've both taken note to how serious each other feels. They both actually had an opportunity to communicate, which they haven't done before. And now they're willing to open up a line of communication and, like they said, have a neighborly relationship. This sounds like it's a once in a while thing, every 4 to 6 months when a dog sit a dog that doesn't even live in the county. I understand the responsibility and liability on the property owner to make sure that that disturbance doesn't occur. But, it concerns me that police weren't called overnight, regarding the nuisance, the dog barking or what have you. There weren't any other complaints. Like I said, bottom line is they both sat here and said that they were willing to come to a resolution on their own. I don't think charging them with one violation to ensure that something else is done is necessarily the right way about doing it.
All right. Gregory?
I would agree with everyone. What's been said before. Like Lieutenant Chad said, that I believe this was mostly a miscommunication, and they were finally making a bridge of communication right now through this formal hearing. I'm very hopeful and optimistic that will go through. But I agree with Jennifer. I think we should uphold at least some form of the citation, because the violations did occur during these weird hours, especially during nights, which I think is not really an excuse, like especially at midnight and stuff like that, past 1 o'clock. So some kind of upholding, I wouldn't be up to a full dismissal, but I think we at some point we also reduce something to like $25, so that we could lower it as low as we can go. And yeah.
Okay. Yes. Did everybody see the note from Curran?
I did.
Yeah, just want to make sure everybody saw that. I don't think that, I don't think we're disputing owner here. Yes, and from what I heard, I honestly believe that the overnight barking probably should be addressed. To that extent, I do agree with Jennifer that there should be some type of some type of fine. Okay. And you can uphold the citation with no fine. I agree with Gregory as well. As a matter of fact, that was exactly in my head. I believe the citation for the barking, the nuisance, probably should be lowered to $25. To totally dismiss might cause a recurrence. I don't know. And it's kind of up to us. Do we want it? Both of the fines are pretty hefty. They're two $100 fines, and I think that's excessive for what we have seen. I wouldn't be totally against dismissing them based on the conduct of the defendant and the complainant. In this case, they both seem willing to work things out from this point on, and the case was brought forward, I think, in a situation where the communication there was a breakdown, and maybe some bad feelings there. But my general consensus is no more than, my general feeling is no more than $25 for both fines, and you can dismiss one of them. And that's basically how I feel with this whole thing. So, with having that said, if there's no other input, do I hear a motion? We need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we dismiss citation ending 3615 and uphold citation ending 3614, animal disturbance prohibited, with either no fine or a $25 fine. And my motion is for no fine.
Okay.
Second.
We'll go with the no fine first. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? It looks like it's unanimous, so that would be the decision of this commission on this case. It would be uphold the one fine, the one citation with no fine. No fine on either, and dismiss the other. All right, before we go on to the next case, does anybody need a comfort break? Okay, let's, Philip, you want to call the next case?
Yes, sir. I've got some video issue. I can't seem to get my camera working. I'm just gonna refresh real quick now that I have that recorded, and hopefully it'll only take a second and we'll fix it.
Got to be fresh to refresh.
Let's see.
I tried sending you an ask to start video too, Phil.
Yeah, and it popped up and I told it yes, and for whatever magical reason, I'm just still.
Well, you want to pop in here?
They don't really need to see my visage. I can do everything by audio here. So let's see. Our next case, we have Estera Contreras versus Tony Murphy for 2 citations, both public safety threat for Chloe the dog. All parties who have an interest in this case who wish to testify may now come forward to take the oath. Please utilize Zoom's raise hand feature. I'll get you added in one by one. and then sworn in all at the end together. I see them here. Ms. Contreras, promote Mr. Murphy. There we go, and Mr. Contreras. All right. And if everyone would please unmute and start up your video as you can. Ms. Contreras, I can see you there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Perfect, and I can hear you. If you would please state your full name and address for the record.
Estera Contreras, 1836, Disney Estate Circle in Severn, Maryland.
Thank you very much. If you would just hang out for one moment, and I'll get you sworn in at the end. And then Mr. Murphy, I see you there. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Good.
If you would please state your full name and address for the record.
Full name is Tony Murphy. Address is 1834 Disney Estate Circle in Severn, Maryland.
Thank you kindly. Mr. Contreras, if you would please start your audio and video. All right, I got video there, and then audio next, and I see audio. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
I can hear you. Perfect. So if you would please state your full name and address for the record.
James Contreras, 1836 Disney Estates Circle, Severn, Maryland, 21144.
Thank you kindly. And if everyone would please raise their right hands. Do you declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you all very much. If you would please remain muted unless called upon to speak, and we are good to proceed.
All right. In this case, I believe Mr. Murphy, excuse me, Ms. Contreras is the complainant. If I'm correct, you have the floor now to state your case.
Yes, thank you very much. There were a couple of cases, and this is an issue with a dog that has aggressively charged us on our property multiple times. This dog is unrestrained and off leash, and we are concerned of our personal safety and for our dog. So it's our personal safety, and now we also got a new puppy again. And I submitted pictures in addition to the two dates that I put the complaint in.
Okay.
So the complaint is from the 8th of October in 2021. My husband and we came back from shopping, and we pulled into our driveway. And the moment I stepped out of the passenger car, off the passenger side, the dog was off leash, charged on our property, and was this close to me and just barking aggressively and charging at me. And then Mr. Murphy was outside, didn't do anything. He was on his front steps. And then one of the youngest sons was sent over to our property to retrieve the dog. And my husband took a picture of that moment where the young child retrieved the dog on our property. That was on 8 October 2021 at 5:40 in the evening. The second complaint was of this year, February 4th, 2022 at 3:45. We have gotten a new puppy from a rescue, and I was taking our dog out. I was in the front of our house, and out from nowhere, that dog was charging across our property into our on the sidewalk, charging myself and my dog. I had to pull my dog back into the house. That neighbor's dog kept following us and barking aggressively, and I had to pull my dog back in the house. And that neighbor dog came all the way up to our steps. And I also admitted pictures. Those pictures were taken from our surveillance cameras. And the oldest daughter, I believe it was the oldest daughter, came up to our steps, had to pick up the dog, and then took the dog back over to their property. So these are the two complaints that I'm bringing forward specifically today. And with my husband being there, being a witness to one of them, taking actually the picture when all of that happened.
All right. Is there anything else? Mr. Contreras?
No, it's exactly as my wife Estera has said. The dog came on our property aggressively, charging at us. I was afraid I was going to be bitten or my wife was going to be bitten, and the dog was unrestrained.
Okay. And do we need to bring the pictures up, or does everyone have the pictures already?
Could you please bring the pictures up? I'm having a tough time logging into the shared drive to see them.
No worries,
Please.
let me see what I can do here. So,
I didn't see them in the share. Did I miss them?
they should be in there. But all the same,
I have them and they're in PDF form.
oh, you're not gonna let me share screen either, are you? Why are you being like this, computer? Let's see.
I think we have Philip working on that right now, trying to bring the pictures up.
Oh, here we go. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not seeing those in the drive.
How strange.
I believe if you note the arrow in the pictures are a little small on my screen. But if you note the arrows point to the dog in question. There we go.
What kind of dog is that? I can't really see from the picture.
I think there's a good one at the end here. Let me see for you real quick.
Yeah, at the end there's a good picture.
Probably the best picture.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I found them.
Oh, no worries.
Can someone identify the child in the last picture we saw?
I believe testimony said it was the.
That's my son, Ashton.
Okay.
This is Tony. That's my son, Ashton.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Contreras, are you satisfied with your case as stated so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hearing that, we'll hear from the defendant, Mr. Murphy.
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
I believe so.
Okay. So I just wanted to have a couple pictures to show you here. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
This first picture is of the dog. Her name's Chloe. She's a Morkie, and she's not a dangerous dog. She gets a little excited, like most small dogs do, but she's never bitten anyone. She's never attempted to bite anyone. I'm sure Officer Hall can verify that, and I'm sure you have any kind of records in front of you that pertaining to this case. If she was a biter, you would obviously know that. I'll go to the next picture here. I'm going to bring up the citation. Oops. Okay, here's the citation. There's the first citation. Here's the first citation. Okay, so this is from October 8th. And oops, hold on. Pause that. Okay. Here's the citation. Here's the first citation she referred to. And she does use the words aggressively charged and barking came within 1 foot of potentially attacking me. I've never heard of a dog aggressively attack somebody and not bite. Again, she's just curious. She likes to check out people and other animals, but she's never bitten anybody. I mean, she's 9 pounds, for God's sake. She's not a large German Shepherd like their aggressive dog is, or a Rottweiler or a Pit Bull or anything like that. And if in fact, if she, I mean, I can almost hear the fear in her voice. If she was that, you know, if she was that affected by it and traumatized by it, why did she wait 126 days from October 8th to February 11th? That's 126 days. And I know they have a year to report this, but if you're going to say a dog is aggressive, by definition, I think that implies urgency, and you should let animal control know. She never told animal control until February 11th. She's never spoken to us about it. I mean, she hasn't spoken to us in basically 7 years. Every time we try to talk to her, she takes her camera out and starts videotaping it and threatens us with trespassing on our property. So we can't talk to her. She doesn't talk to us. So we didn't know anything about this. My children, I mean, they think they don't know anything about animal control laws. They didn't tell me about this. I wasn't on the front step. I didn't see any of this. So why do you wait 126 days to report something that obviously is traumatized? She has 3 kids over there. Isn't she feared for their safety, or is there's a dog next door that's aggressive and almost came within 1 foot of attacking her? It just doesn't make any sense. But the second, in regards to the second citation, here's the second citation. And again, there's more, you know, aggressively, uses the word aggressively. I don't agree with that. Again, the dog charges up and just it's curious, but it doesn't bite. If that dog was going to bite them, she would have bit them. She's just curious, and I know she went on our property, but I don't buy the almost got bit. I don't buy that story, especially if you wait 4 months. For the second, so please note this date right here, February 22nd. That's when it got to Officer Hall. I was already being proactive. Here's a receipt from Lowe's. We're kind of a unique situation over here. My wife and I have 6 kids, and they're all homeschooled. And you know, we try to keep the dog in. Every once in a while, the dog gets out. I mean, you know, 2 times in 2 years, dogs get out. We go back and get it. It's not a dangerous dog. It's not a Rottweiler. It's not an aggressive German Shepherd like they have. You know, so it got out. So here was a receipt from February 19th. So I was being proactive here. I didn't know anything about citations. Again, she doesn't talk to us, you know, so we didn't know anything about this, but I knew we had a problem. A spring on the spring-loaded hinge on the door broke. And so I went to Lowe's, and I'm being proactive. I don't know anything about citations. The citations don't come out until 3 days after this. So I bought this hinge. It's a hinge, and please note this number, 366-2637. It's a hinge from Lowe's. And I went and bought it, and here it is. Here's that same number, 366-2637. This is the hinge I bought. We replaced it, and we haven't had any other citations since that. No other neighbors have ever filed anything with Animal Control or any other government agency with us. It's just these 2 incidents. So, you know, I would hope there would be some understanding with that. But I just want to tell you all this. This has nothing to do with public safety. Again, it wouldn't have taken 126 days to report this if she genuinely thought there was some concern. So we have a history. We're briefly going to go over that. I know I was warned not to go over the history, but I just want to show you another couple other pictures. Here's a picture. She took us or reported us to CPS. Don't want to get into details, but the social worker walked in the door and said, God, I know this is a neighbor dispute. They see him all the time, and basically just spoke with us and closed the case. So that's one incident with them. I'm gonna clean this up real quick. I just got a couple more things. Here is a camera that is. I'm standing in my child's sandbox in the backyard. Why they have a camera pointed in the back? I have no idea. There's no crime back there. It's just woods. We don't have crime in this neighborhood. I don't know why there's just this one camera focused on our yard. Again, I'm trying to show a pattern of harassment and bullying and just annoying behavior. Here's another picture. This is from my back deck. They put these trees up that weren't there when we moved in. They put these large 20-foot trees. Here's the camera pointed at my child's sandbox. A couple more for you. Here's their backyard. Again, you see the trees. So this is their backyard. This is my house right here. You can see the trees right here, the 20-foot trees. No other cameras in the backyard, no other trees. So it's just, I think it's just very noteworthy that they have these 20-foot trees on, you know, in a camera on one side of the property and no other trees or cameras to be found on the other side of the property. So again, this is just, it's just for whatever reason, they have an issue with us. We don't have issues with any of our other neighbors. Here's the house when we moved in and there's no trees there. They put the trees up to whatever, so they don't have to see us, smell us. And the camera is just another intimidation. It doesn't bother us. My kids know the shenanigans and the schemes she comes up with, so they laugh it off. We have fun with it, and it's just. But what irks me, I served in the military for 27 years. What irks me is, as a taxpayer, this just frustrates me that somebody can't resolve their own disputes with their neighbors, so they have to go to the teacher. They have to go to the government agency and CPS, animal control, who knows whatever else she's gone to and tried to get us on something that we don't even know about. They said one time they tried to get us for our radio being loud, but they couldn't find an ordinance that said you couldn't have your radio loud. So I know they've tried to attempted to get us on other things, but we just don't know about. But we take it all in stride. We ignore, you know, but I could have paid this fine, but it, you know, it's not that big of a deal to me, but it's just the taxpayer in me is like, what? I get tired of wasting, you guys shouldn't have to deal with stuff like this. So again, the dog, I get it. The dog went on the yard. We went in and retrieved it right away. It's not a dangerous dog. It's just these two instances. If there was other instances, I'm sure she would have video of those. And so, you know, with all this harassment, I wouldn't doubt that she would embellish or exaggerate on some of the other things. I'm only aware of these two. Again, I didn't know anything about it, but I was proactive. I fixed the door. That's why she was getting out. I fixed the door and nothing's happened since then. Please send her a message, throw both of these citations out and tell her you can't waste precious government resources trying to resolve your neighborhood disputes. That's all I have. Thank you.
I don't have for some reason, my raise hand feature isn't on my screen today, so I apologize if it seems like I keep jumping in. I'm not able.
Oh, if I didn't see it, I apologize. I didn't see it.
I wasn't speaking to you, sir. I was speaking to our chairman.
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Evans. But the reason I'm raising my hand, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
CPS complaints are anonymous. They are not allowed to disclose the reporter. So are you alleging that Ms. Contreras actually told you she filed a CPS complaint?
No, but we, and I don't have any proof, but okay, maybe it wasn't. But again, we
okay. Well, that was my question because you seem very convinced that it was her.
Yeah, and the name's not in it, but this happened a few days after we saw her son banging his head against the garbage disposal, the garbage thing in front, and we were concerned, and so we called. Again, we can't go in our yard. She doesn't talk to us. She's going to get us for trespassing. So we had no other reason to call the cops. We thought there someone was going to hurt themselves, that hit himself. So the CPS thing happened about 4 or 5 days after that. How many days after was it? Probably just if it wasn't her, it was a total coincidence. Again, we get along with all our neighbors, but again, I have no proof it was her.
Oh no, Cindy said that.
Okay, are there any further questions of the parties?
No
Okay, just
questions,
one-
but I have a comment.
I have a question for the Contreras. It's Mr. Murphy's contention that his dog was only on your property and off lead twice. Do you agree with that statement, or do you have any other comment on that statement?
James Contreras, I'll comment on it. It's not the only time the dog actually chased my son and another girl who was running with him, runners. And we did not report that incident. My wife did not report the incident, the first one you have right now, because I told her not to try to keep peace with the neighbors. But after a third time, enough is enough. And I don't want to hear, because your dog is small, that it doesn't mean it cannot bite. Dogs are dogs, and if they're not on the leash, they can bite anyone. And if the dog is not walking over to say hello and it's running over and charging, my view is the dog is barking and charging at me, that it can potentially bite me. And all of the other pieces that have been tried to included in it has nothing to do with the dog case. The dog case is a dog case. I just don't want to be bitten.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
And this is for the complainant. Tony opened up about he'd repaired the fence or wherever the dog was escaping from. Has the dog escaped since then? Or has he gotten out since then, off leash at large, since that repair?
I can't say.
I'm not on my window and I'm not checking the cameras constantly, but a couple of weeks ago, a jogger was passing by and he had to go across the street to hear the dog barking, and that dog has a very specific high-pitched bark. The jogger had to go across the street, then 2 houses up, he looked down, the dog wasn't going after him, and he crossed back over to our side. There are multiple other times that the dog has done that. Other neighbors were going over to talk to the Murphy family. They came back and sharing with other neighbors in tears of how they had been attacked. So yes, there have been multiple other times. And we are here because of the complaint of the dog running at large. And I do not really want to hear if it's a big dog or a small dog. I'm teaching, I'm in a co-op and I'm in a tutorial, and I have two children in there who had been nipped and bit by little dogs in the face. Yeah. And I would not want other people to say it's a cute little dog and tell that to the parents who had to take their children to the hospital, to Johns Hopkins, and get 8 stitches in there. One of the dogs has been put down now for that, yeah? And I don't want to go down the road, big dog or small dog. There are quite some statistics that little dogs also bite. A dog is an animal, and you have to be in control, and you need to take the responsibility of keep your dog under control and on the leash.
Mr. Tony, I guess they really didn't answer my question, but from your testimony, has your dog escaped since you've done the repair?
No, it's not. I don't have any idea of a jogger moving out of the way because of a high-pitched voice. I didn't realize you could memorize individual dogs' particular pitches. So that sounds a little strange. Again, I defer back to our history. I mean, she's got a camera on my child's sandbox. I wouldn't be surprised if she would embellish and exaggerate. And again, I got a hammer on. I mean, if they're saying this dog is dangerous, can somebody ask them, why did they wait 126 days to report it? Why didn't they notify me? They can send me a letter. They can, I see them outside all the time. Say, hey, can you do something about I never heard that. I never heard anything. Why wait? They're so adamant that this dog is dangerous. Why did they wait 126 days? You can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Mr. Murphy, do you have a copy of the second citation?
Oh, yeah, I can bring that up, but yeah.
No, I don't need, I've read it. I just wanted,
Okay.
yeah,
I have it right here. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that you had seen it because there's only 7 days between the incident and
Yeah,
the
that's
filing of the second citation.
correct. That's the second one, but the first one is October 8th, 126 days before she submitted it. Oh, yeah, why? That has aggressive and it almost attacked me. I don't understand why you wait 126 days if you have, especially now that we know she had 2 children that were attacked. I would assume if this was a dangerous dog, I don't know if it was her kids or some kids got attacked, had all the shots. Why would you wait 126 days to report it? You can even submit these things online. You don't have to go to the office if you're afraid of this pandemic. You can submit complaints online if I'm not mistaken, correct? You don't even have to leave your house. Can somebody ask them? Can I ask them why did you wait 126 days? If it's so dangerous, if this dog is allegedly so dangerous.
Okay, yes, you can ask that question.
Yeah, okay, I'll go ahead and ask them. James and Esty, can you please tell me why, if this dog is so dangerous and it came within feet of biting you, and you've had other experiences like that with other children in the past, why would you wait 126 days to notify animal control, to submit this complaint? Why wouldn't you say something to me? I live right next door to you. You could have sent me a letter if you don't want to talk to me. You have no proof that you tried to do anything in those 126 days.
Okay, can we ask the question, because now we're going back into testimony. If you're going to ask them a question, ask them one question at a time and make it simple.
I asked one question, why they wait 126 days?
Right, okay, that's the question. Mr. and Mrs. Contreras, do you want to address that?
I'm happy to address it. Please tell me in your regulations or policy where it tells me where there's a time frame. I don't believe it is. Number 2, I've tried to allow time to pass to see if this would stop this behavior of the dog. I specifically, as I said about 10 minutes ago, told my wife the first time, do not place a complaint in because of trying to keep peace with the neighbors. And after the 3rd time it happened, it was time that the dog behavior is not changing and something needs to be done about it.
Okay. All right. I have one question. Mr. Murphy, from seeing the pictures, it seems like you have a fenced-in backyard.
Correct. Correct.
Back there, but the front yard
is, we moved in.
Okay, and the front yard is not, though, correct?
Our HOA does not allow the fence in the front yard.
Okay. How does the dog, just for informational purposes, how does the dog get out of the front? Do you have a doggy door in the front door, or
there's not a door? Again, I'm not using this as an excuse, but we homeschool 6 kids under 12 years old. I know that's not an excuse, but I know you all encourage pet adoptions. And so if you're encouraging pet adoptions, I would hope there'd be some kind of tolerance or accommodation of people with special circumstances with all these kids home all day. And it got out. Again, it's not a dangerous dog. But the second one, the hinge broke. Like I said, I showed the receipt for the hinge and I fixed that hinge before I knew anything about either of these citations. So I was aware there was a problem. Again, I really didn't know it. It was this big of a problem because, again, they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me. So yeah, there's no doggy door. It's just, the dog's curious. Young dog's curious. They run and they just want to play and bark at something. But no, this dog's never barked a bit anybody or even attempted to bite.
Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
I have a question, and I don't know if this question is for Mr. Murphy or Ms. Contreras, but I just want to make sure my notes are correct. During one of the incidences, I think Ms. Contreras, you said that Mr. Murphy was out on his front porch. He watched it happen and sent his son over. Is that one of these 2 citations, or is it this 3rd case that we hadn't heard yet?
Yes, ma'am. That was the one on the in October. he just received an elliptical workout machine, and he was busy trying to put that from the outside, lifting it up the steps into the house. Yes, he was right out there. He saw us coming by. He was at the steps. He looked at us. There was eye contact. And then I tried to get out of the passenger door of my husband's car, and that dog was just charging, and he did not respond at that at all. And he sent that little boy over to retrieve the dog. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Murphy, does that comport with your recollection?
Was that the October 8th incident?
I can't answer that question. I mean, I wasn't there.
Esther, was that the October 8th incident?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so if that was the first incident. That was 126 days before you reported it. So you see me sitting there on October 8th, or the first one, but you think you think that we'll just sit on it and hope I fix it. Well, James just said don't submit the first one. Let's just see if he fixes it. Well, if you saw me on the front step just sitting there, I don't know how you would think in your right mind that I was going to fix it if I did nothing at that moment. So I'll just leave it at that.
Well, actually, Mr. Murphy, that was my question. Do you recall? I mean, do you recall that incident?
I don't recall. I don't recall being. I moved an elliptical in, but I don't recall. I'm not going to let my dog go to another person's yard without doing something about it. That's not me. And she has cameras there. I mean, obviously, I know she's going to. I know her history, and she's probably going to videotape the thing. So I mean, I've got to be proactive. I can't sit or let her videotape my my dog on her front yard. I don't like paying fines. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And then based on that behavior, you hope I'm going to fix it before the next incident. So you're going to stand on a complaint and not submit it, hoping I'm going to fix it. It just both these things contradict each other. So.
Okay, are there any more questions for either party? Looks like we lost Lieutenant McFarlane. Okay, if there are no further questions and both parties are satisfied with the presentation of their respective cases, we will close for deliberations.
Could I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if you are familiar with the AKC, with the American Kennel Club. And right there on the front page, it states on their website, owning a dog is not just a privilege, it's a responsibility. They depend on us for a minimum food and shelter and deserve much more. When you take a dog into your life, you need to understand the commitment that dog ownership shows and entails. And I just want to bring up that if AKC is stating it, just to bring a dog into your life, it is a responsibility to take care of that dog. And there are laws in Arundel County to keep the dog on the leash if it's not on your property. It's not supposed to be a nuisance. And I just want to bring that in. The dog needs to be registered. The dog things need to be picked up when you take the dog for a walk. There are those laws put in place to keep peace and quietness. And one of those rules is to keep the dog on the leash. I just want to state that into that one. And it is why Anne Arundel County has those guidelines to keep and protect neighbors and also not have those nuisance around. That's all what I just want to bring in there, that if you have a dog, it's your responsibility to take care of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else from anyone?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the AKC has to do with it. We have Anne Arundel, regulations in place to cover this stuff. I don't think they follow the AKC. And there's no evidence that we haven't been taking care of our dog. And that picture looks like it eats pretty well to me. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, anything else at all from anyone? Okay, hearing none, we will close for deliberation. And hopefully Lieutenant McFarlane will return. We still have a quorum with 4 of us though. So I guess we will begin with Gregory Fuentes. You can.
So I try to approach this from just as it was a dog at large. I try to keep the size and the, out of it, just like a dog at large. So the dog, it seems like the first time it was just like an accident. They're bringing something big. The door was enough where the dog kind of snuck out. He did send his son to go it. I feel like that was more of an accident. The other one where it was the gate or whatever way from the fence, it was like loose or broken. The dog got out. It seems like he took things in his manners, and he is being initiative. He's trying to fix it. He's being but the dog did get at large, and I think there has to be some kind of responsibility that happened. I don't know if upholding both citations is warranted. And I'm reading over it right now, and it seems like how we have it worded, it seems like it, this dog, we have it on both codes that it was aggressive and all that stuff. Well, I don't really have an opinion that maybe a vet would have more of say in that, but I think that at least we should uphold one of the citation, while the other one I feel was more of an accident.
Okay. Dr. Hammer?
Well, I tend to agree. I guess as I'm reading the citations and listening to the testimony that I've heard, I guess the dog was at large. Certainly there can be extenuating circumstances as to why the dog is at large, but the matter of fact is the dog was at large. I feel that there's been enough testimony, and the citation, in my opinion, ending in 3609, approaching somebody in an aggressive manner off leash, I think is probably applicable and should be upheld in this particular case. I've not heard enough evidence on the second citation about the unleashed dog running at large, approaching a domesticated animal in an aggressive manner. I've not heard enough evidence to that to make me feel comfortable in upholding 3608. I think there's enough history here that the dog is running at large. The time frames for when the citations are filed, I think, is irrelevant and holds no weight, in my opinion. And as far as, biting, if it has teeth, it can bite. And that's just the long and short of it. So there's kind of really no, I don't really care how big the dog is. If it has teeth, it can bite. And this woman obviously was concerned about that. So I believe that to be true. I'm agreeing with Mr. Fuentes that we probably ought to uphold one. I believe the running at large and coming after you in an aggressive manner is probably appropriate, which is 3609. But as I said before, I've not heard enough evidence to make me feel comfortable that 3608 should be upheld, and I dismiss 3608. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Jennifer?
I think Dr. Hemmer pretty much covered everything I had in my notes. The comment he made about if it has teeth, it can bite. That was one of the things I actually wrote down. I think the size of the dog is irrelevant. I had questioned a vet one time about another animal, asking, could the animal bite? And my vet's response to me was, it's got teeth, don't it? So I really, the fact that the dog is obviously cute and may only be 9 pounds, but that doesn't mean it can't do damage. I don't think there was no dispute that the dog was at large, that it was running off leash. There's no dispute that it was on Miss Contreras' property. I was a little disappointed because I felt as though Mr. Murphy wasn't taking this seriously. His comment that, just because he was outside and saw it happen and Miss Contreras, that's all it would take for her to think he was going to do something about it. I don't know. I just found that odd. If I actually saw my dog get off leash and go on someone else's property, well, yeah, that's a hint to me that it's a problem and it should be fixed. But in any event, I agree with Dr. Hemmer that we dismiss 3608, that we uphold 3609.
And I think I'm right there with everybody. The only question that I would have for the commission would be, we are, I believe it's two $50 fines in this case. Do we uphold the one that we uphold? Is it worth the entire fine, or do we want to reduce it?
I'm okay with upholding it.
I'm okay with I agree with Jennifer. I'm comfortable upholding it in its entirety.
Me too. As long as like one is one gets dismissed, I'm okay.
I hear you. Okay. So yes, unfortunately we have, it seems like Lieutenant McFarlane was pulled away, and I can understand that. But like I said, we still have a quorum here with 4. Do we have a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion that the commission make the recommendation, Chief of Police, that we uphold citation ending in 3609 in its entirety and dismiss citation ending in 3608.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? That's unanimous. So that's it for that case. 1 dismissed and 1 upheld. Before we get into any other matter, I just want to bring those of you that are aware of the Odin and Lucy law, that there was a Zoom meeting, excuse me, held the I believe it was April 28th, Thursday, of which I attended with the county executive and other members, the 2 other members. And I just wanted to update you on that. I believe that the stringent language, we won't have to worry about that. I don't believe that that's going to be entertained after hearing that the information of that meeting, and nothing is going to be rushed into. We were assured of that there's going to be full discussion with many organizations that have to do with animals and animal rights and things like that. I think the focus now is going to be on an alternative to the euthanization at the end of a vicious order, and not so much on the process of the witnesses in the case, like we did today with the photographic evidence being required and all that. Like I said, the sense that I got is that everybody involved kind of thinks that that's a little too much, going a little too far. So
What about the standard?
Pardon me?
I understand you, everything you've mentioned so far was about the type of evidence, the sufficiency of the type, but what about the standard? Was there any discussion on elevating the standard to clear and convincing for potentially dangerous dogs or
There was
vicious?
some discussion on either leaving it as it is. The focus became in our discussion, the focus became as those of us that were there recall, and Robin pointed it out, that as far as the commission went, even with all the evidence that we brought in, we did make a recommendation that the vicious order be reduced. And it was the chief of police in that particular incident that decided not to take that part of the recommendation in consideration and to continue to uphold the vicious order. And that is kind of where the focus went to. And there was a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but there was a few recommendations made to change the language on that. And then, of course, I believe shifting that to review and concurrence by the office of the county executive. And the county executive stated that they probably wouldn't have the authority to overrule the chief of police in that regard. So there was some talk going back and forth, but the main thing that I wanted to let you all know is that I believe that the language as it is probably will not be adjusted the way that it was proposed. The way it was proposed, I believe everybody in attendance realized that that was way too stringent for public, that nobody would be able to make a complaint within those guidelines. It was just a little bit too hard. They may change the language preponderant, however it is right now. What is it, preponderance of the evidence, or?
Right, it's preponderance now, and they proposed just for that one type to raise it to clear and convincing.
Right. I think during that meeting, I believe that maybe that may happen, and that will be the only change in the structure of that particular clause. The thing that surprised me, and it just never entered my mind, is that there's advocates on both sides of the fence. You would think that the loudest ones are the ones saying no euthanization, but I was surprised to know that when a dog is rendered vicious, that most of the neighbors want to see euthanization, and that kind of shocked me. But you know, it is what it is. Moving on, does everybody have a copy of the minutes from last?
Yes.
The graph.
I'm having a hell of a time here with this shared drive thing, so I don't have a copy per se.
Okay.
Direct link for you here and pop that into the same email chain we were using. See if that pops up now.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I wonder why this drive is giving you so much guff, but I wonder why Zoom is not letting me show my beautiful face today.
Yeah.
This thing's just giving me fits today.
Technology. This is why I got out of doing 15 years of computer repair and network support. No, thank you.
Oh. I just want to make sure everybody.
Hold on, I'm getting to it right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Philip.
Cheers.
I have the minutes in front of me now.
Okay. You can review them, and I'd like to hear a motion to accept the minutes of the April 4th meeting.
So moved. I make a motion that we
Thank you.
Approve the minutes.
Do I hear a second? Okay,
Second.
all in favor? You, okay. All right. With that, I believe that concludes our session for today, and I believe our next one would be June 6th. Am I correct in that, Phil?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
All right. If there's no other business, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion we adjourn and reconvene on June 6th.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Sorry.
Thank you all.
Great.
Y'all
Have a good
great
month.
day. Remember
You guys have-
mom.
Thank
Remember
you
mom.
all.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you.